Okay.
Move it up even more.
How's that? That's good. I was spent 2 years in Vietnam. I went over when I was just a kid. I just turned 18. And here,
You don't have to struggle on doing
okay,
it. All right. How tall are you?
6'2".
6'2", all right.
But anyway, I spent 2 years in Vietnam, which was an experience that I can't forget, and I can't let it get out of my head. I went through therapy and things of this nature, but I've seen friends killed, and I've struggled with that most of my life because they was just steps away from me, and I should have been me. I had that survivor's guilt, they call it, but I just thought I was just a step slower than they were. But anyway, that was in 1967, and I went to the Army, and I was driving, and then come back from the service and got out, and I went to driving over the road. Well, I run in California. I run everywhere, West Coast, East Coast, and on one of my trips, I had a heart attack. Well, I was out in the middle of Nevada, and they couldn't do nothing with me, and they gave me about 24 hours to live. So I went. So they said, you got to life flight me, and they asked me if I knew what the closest hospital was. Well, I was in Carlin, Nevada, if you know where that's at. It's not too far from Elko, Nevada. And I said, Salt Lake City is the closest big city, so they life flighted me into there. The company did it all for me, overnight transportation. But and then I spent some time out there, and then they flew me back into Kansas City. And they had to do a balloon where they opened up your arteries, and so it went on that way. And so as time went by, I guess I progressively had more and more heart attacks, and then finally I come down to where the VA started taking care of me, and they told me that I had something else. They said I had some kind of something wrong with my heart or something. And so anyway, they was feeding me with Lasix, and then the colonel that I know, he told me, he says, go on over to someplace else. Don't go to the VA. He said they're going to kill you here. So I went to. So me and my wife picked me up, took me over to KU Hospital in Kansas City, and they immediately admitted me, and they said I had congenitally heart failure, and I had a massive amount of water built up around my heart. You can give you Lasix and everything, but if you don't have the heart to pump the water off, then it just builds up. But so that's the way it went. And then they finally told me that I had to have a heart transplant because my ejection fraction rating had dropped. And if you know what that is, that's how efficient your heart is. My heart had dropped to 10%. So I was getting down pretty close to the end of the wire, and they put me on the heart transplant list. So I went on to going through all the tests and everything, because they won't give you a heart transplant if you got a cold. So I passed everything, but so then when I was they said they'd put me on the list, so they'd give me a call when the heart came in. And one morning, me and my wife were laying there I think it was about 6:30 in the morning, and the phone rang, and they said they had my heart, so they brought me. They said you got an hour to get there, so we made it on into the hospital. They give me and so they did the surgery. I think I was in the surgery for I guess we was in there for about between 4 and 6 hours. I was out of it. I didn't know what was going on. But so that's the way it, and so I went into a coma, so they tell me, and I didn't hear. I mean, I wasn't there to hear the whole thing, but so the wife, I was in a coma for, I guess, like about a week, and then the wife said, they told her that they had me on some kind of a double tandem pump for my heart, so it could keep it going, and and not only that, but they told me that being the time that I was out, I had died for 27 minutes, that I could have brain damage. Well, sometimes I don't quite cope with everything that's going on, but I get along. But anyway, they told her to, I was on the heart transplant thing, I guess the pumps and everything, and I guess that has an effect on your, I don't know, kidneys or liver or something, so they was going to have to take me off because it was going to kill me anyway. So they told my wife that you had to make up your mind here on Saturday. She was coming in on a Saturday morning. They had to make up her mind whether to take me off the heart pumps or not, life support system. So she was getting ready to come in that morning, and they called her up that morning. Her and her friends, they all said prayers for me, and that, in fact, I think it went clear across the United States and maybe even overseas, I don't know, but they all did prayers for me, and they laid hands on me. So, and then that morning, she was getting ready to come in, and they called her and said, "You don't have to make that decision." Said it was. He came too, and so then they said, but he wouldn't ever be able to talk or do anything. And I did have to go through speech therapy to learn how to talk again because I'd had those tubes down my throat and everything. That was tough. But so I just that's my story. And then I got over that, and then I just hear this recently. I think you see my name on the prayer list, but I got bladder cancer. I'm a Vietnam vet, and I was connected with Agent Orange. If everybody knows what Agent Orange is, it's something they sprayed on us over there. But so I got bladder cancer, and here just it's been 2 weeks ago, I think, they told me I didn't have it no more. I've been taking chemotherapy. And I had prayers from you guys, and I appreciate it. But with all the prayers I've had and everything, I appreciate it. And that's my story, and I am second. So, because
It's a good thing.
thank you.
That's hard to do.